Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel again. We're going to be returning to our originally scheduled programming back to Indonesia. I went ahead and canceled Air Canada. I just don't have the time or the will to work on another airline on another server. As much as I like Jaeger, I'm not going to do it. Um, I've been very busy with my main airline and its subsidiaries. Still waiting on some planes to come into the Indonesia domestic, at least that way. So it appears that there are some people that like this series, so I'm going to continue to do it. So what I'm learning is I've done a lot of testing over the past few weeks, and where we haven't got one of these videos. I was very busy last week, so I couldn't upload. So what we're going to do this week is I'm basically just going to go over what I've changed to bring all the viewers up to speed here. But basically, I've done a lot of either rescheduling, some changes here and there to some basic some aircraft changes, some scheduling changes. I've opened some new routes that I'm testing. So it's going to be, we'll see how it works. And this video should be relatively quick. I'll keep it short as usual. Try to keep it less than 20 minutes. So basically, as expected, I've received a lot of my 900s, the MAX 9s that I ordered. So those have started coming in. I'm thinking I've done a little bit of reading on the forums, and I think I'm going to make a video about that, but that's a separate topic. Basically, I've done a lot of reading, and I've researched some stuff on this market in Indonesia. So I've learned a little bit. And I do have a point-to-point fleet, and that's connection, but I didn't. Everybody knows Christian Paulson on the CBE on the forum. You might know that he had an airline called Indosky in Indonesia. And Airlinesim is always something that you can learn. I have my own way of playing Indonesia, but he played a little bit differently, and it sounded like a little more fun. So what I'm learning is that you can do a little bit more point-to-point stuff for larger aircraft, and that it actually works, and it doesn't really make it. I didn't do it because I thought I thought it would hurt my hubs, because point to point would hurt the hub. There's no point in the hub and spoke if you're flying point to point. So I figured it would hurt my Jakarta hub, but as of the reading him, it made sense because you would lose some of you lose slots trying to fly to some of these places, and you don't have enough slots to fly the amount of planes into some of the places in Indonesia. So it's mostly about I'm gonna have to definitely order some bigger airplanes like the A350-1000 and fly between some of my big cities in order to reduce the amount of slots that I'm using. So I can remove some MAX 9s off of routes and fly them somewhere else. So that's definitely what we're going to look at doing in future videos. But right now, I'm just going to talk about, like I said, what we've done. That's just something to look forward to. Or some rescheduling, basically. So I purchased some plane. I actually bought some of my older aircraft. As you can see, I got rid of the regular 737 700s. I only kept the ERs. I moved them up to my holding company, and they are open for lease. I'm going to be leasing them for everybody. If you're watching this video and you can play on Tempelhof, you're welcome to lease them from me. If you're a new player, I will definitely lower the cost for you. I'll sell them to you at a minimum cost. I'll lease them to actually, not sell them. So that's basically what's happened with the fleet. I haven't ordered any more long-haul planes. I am thinking about it though, because when I was doing my rescheduling, I realized how much the 330 to 200 is useful to me. And also in reading CBB's post, I thought about starting a new subsidiary that's dedicated to the long-haul sector. In order to build up its rating, I was going to just operate long-haul planes, and I wanted it to have a higher rating so I can compete with connections and long-haul routes. But I don't think that's going to really help me. I have one other company that I could do this with, and that's domestic, so I could possibly do that. But I don't think I've set that company up right to do it. But regardless, so basically what we've done is I've been on top of scheduling the 900s. I have 3 here now that I'm going to schedule later. I'm not going to do that in this video. I scheduled a lot of these, but I use them as replacements for 100s and the 700s that I got rid of. So I'll end up scheduling these sooner or later. So some things that have changed, if I'm correct. So I don't think I added a new route here, but I moved the plane. So a new route that I added, I've moved some of these A350s around. The A350s have shifted a little bit. So what I did in the past, so Bally's got some changes with the route. I'm going to end up getting rid of this route or moving it to another plane because it's taking out a valuable slot and it's not working. But there are connections on it, which is the only reason that I've kept it around. But I'm going to have to replace it with something. What it has really changed is I added another flight to Dubai in the second hour, an hour after. Uh, let's see. I added another flight to Dubai at an hour after the A350-1000 departs. So basically what that does is it grants me an extra connection, and I kept it to the 200 because obviously that's not going to be ideal an hour after. But because I have some of my flights arriving closer to the departure time of 5 a.m., 5 a.m. local time, I went ahead and added that extra flight because the 1000 just simply was not enough for a connection, so I needed more. So I added this as 200, but it looks like I might be able to upgrade it to a 300, considering that the business class, the economy class is full, so I might be able to upgrade it to a larger plane, or even a 900. Probably that's probably what I'm going to happen. I'm going to make it a 900. But basically, that's what happened. I changed those around, and I added that flight. I upgraded this to 1000. I'm not sure if I showed that off, but as you can see, the connections are still good. So we're looking at really good stuff and making a lot of money off of that. So, and it's the same thing here. It's doing really well. So it lands pretty much at the same time. It just departs an hour later. So that's all it does is bring in extra connections. I learned from Christian as well that my strategy is what needs to be going. I didn't really learn that, but he kind of reinforced it that my strategy is the right thing to do. Connect Australia to the Middle East and China. I don't think my rating is high enough. My airline rating is high enough to allow me to do it. So if you guys are familiar with how Airlinesim works, it works off of this rating here. And my rating right now is an 85, which is kind of low. It's not, for an airline of my size, that's not really good. Because I'm going to have a hard time competing with people with a 90. So, and there are people with a 90, I'm sure. So that's basically the problem, is when I'm flying my long haul routes, it's hard for me to compete on some routes, and I'm sure that's what's happening in China. So, but I have a lot of the people that operate in China, well, almost everybody operating in China is my alliance member, so it really doesn't matter. So basically, that's what's happened recently with that. These flights, this Abu Dhabi flight's been on and off. I kept this Doha flight is also on and off. I'm not sure why. Some days it's full, some days it's not. I think it depends on what my alliance member in Doha is doing. So whatever his airline is. So I did this too. I moved this 330-200 from Jakarta, it was operating Saudi Arabia, but I moved it from Saudi Arabia. It wasn't doing that well. So I'm not sure why. Jakarta and Jeddah and all the big cities in Saudi Arabia get regular flights. So I'm not quite sure why, but I can't contemplate that. So what I did here is I moved it, I replaced it, I put this 330-200 on the route to Hong Kong. I took this 737, the MAX 8 off, and put this here, basically because I was seeing lots of higher numbers. I needed a bigger plane for the connection, so I went ahead and did it. So far, I don't know why it would lower my rating. It's kind of weird, but I don't know why it would lower my rating here, but I should be filling this up, which is weird. So, but I noticed, so basically the schedule for this aircraft looks like this. So, it lands in the 1700, departs in the 4 o'clock. It should be a big connection. I figured it would be a big connection because Hong Kong is a big deal. So we'll see what happens there. So that's pretty much what changed from those flights. It's on a 3-day delay, so it'll come around eventually. These planes are getting old. They're getting almost a year old now. They're for one short of a year, so it won't be long before I end up having to replace them. And I guess that'll be the point where I determine whether I'm going with the 787 or the A330 again. I'll come back to that decision. You guys can leave it down in the comments if you guys think I should go with the 787 or the A330. I don't know. I think I like the A330, and it's better for my fleet since it has a similar type, it shares a type rating with the A350. So that's what works for me. That's my reasoning right now, at least. It can change. So my load factors for my Australia and Auckland flights have somewhat increased, but with the Ajax is actually going down. So if I can show that off here. So this is the economic index for Airlinesim. It's basically what determines what's happening. And as you can see, it's just been on the downfall. It was at 1,000, and it just continues to go down. So that's going to affect our load factors on some of my flights. But usually, the best time to add flights is when the Ajax is low, because that basically, if it fills during a low Ajax, it's going to be full during a high one. So unfortunately, I didn't do that, but these flights are mostly based on connections anyway, so they'll probably work out. So I didn't change anything there. So nothing has changed there. I'm starting to see better load factors in my Australia flights, like I said, so these are slowly trending up. Brisbane is now trending upwards, so I'm starting to see this plane is actually starting to make money now. So I've broken the profit margin. Melbourne is occasionally filling up. As long as I fill the business class, it will profit. So we're starting to see a good profit there on the Melbourne flight. And the Sydney flight is also seeing good numbers as well. We're starting to fill that up. We're starting to see a profit there. Unfortunately, my alliance member in Australia has said he is leaving. He's quitting, and he is the biggest operator in Australia. So just putting that out, if you are watching this video and you want to start a new airline, Australia's coming around. I'm in the Union Alliance. We're very helpful players, so we will help you. And hopefully you'll join our alliance and help us out in Australia. I look forward to keeping up with any competition that ends up starting in Australia after he leaves. So basically, I'm just doing these flights. I need to get this maintenance ratio down. So what is probably going to happen is I will shift these. Well, it looks like I can't do that. So that's kind of unfortunate. I was going to actually shift them in and try to fly it during the 1700 block, but that may not be possible. Oh, let me just add another flight here. I don't know why I didn't do that. Let's fix this real quick. It's not flying every day, and that's annoying. 5:15. So we'll activate that on a 3-day delay. Yeah, 3-day delay. And I might have been able to do it immediately. So that'll help a little bit with the overall profit that this aircraft will make. That'll bring it up a little. So yeah, I'm starting to see good load factors. Auckland has always been a good load factor. I don't know why, but it is. I think it is an actual flight though. So in real life, it is a flight. So that is a really, really, really good flight there. Another thing that I did that I'm happy about is I started the Medan to Australia flights. They're not doing as well though. They're getting better. They're trending up, so I will leave them. So I've done this, and I've seen it fill up sometimes, and I've seen it not. So I really can't say if it's doing how well it's doing. This one is doing okay. So it's working all right. The flights are just really, really long, so making money is pretty easy, as you can see. So I'm making a good profit, and the plane's only 78%. I had a user comment on my last video, the last video I made for this airline, and I wanted to show off this. I did open this flight really recently, the flight to Johannesburg from Medan. I went to Medan for a reason, because Medan just had the better location for this flight, and it had better connections for it. So, and it had more flexibility in terms of me being able to do it. So, there it is. It's an A350-900. It flies there. I do it. It's a daily flight. Departs of Johannesburg at 5 a.m. Lands back at 16. Lands back at 4:21. It departs in the 16:05 block out of Medan. So I'm seeing load factors that are really good due to the connection. So it's filled up on one leg, which is fine to me. So I'm seeing I am connecting to some of my alliance members there, which is fine. I'm trying to fill the departure leg, so I'm gonna basically throw a whole bunch of planes at the 1600 departure window, and so that'll work out there. That's basically what I'm gonna do. But that's really what I wanted to show off here is that I have started a flight to Johannesburg, so it'll be hopefully. I don't know about Cape Town quite yet. I don't know if I'm gonna do that, but we'll have to see. I'm gonna probably do something similar in Medan that I'm doing in Bali, is kind of shove all the flights into one block and force it. Kind of. I might do that as well because I see that method works. So basically, that's what I've changed in terms of the A350s. That was one of the big routes that I did. Oh, Bali. I changed the Perth flight, the daily Perth flights, and some of the Manila flights over to 900s. So they're not filling, but it's a matter of. Christian said not to do this flight, but it's not. I don't have the point that my method is not his method, so we're different players. We play the game differently. He has his own opinion. I have mine. So it works for me. So I changed the Perth flights over to 900s, as you can see. So it's basically. There's not much to talk about. But what I did, so there are more seats for connections and purposes, and there's no reason for me to upgrade it to a wide-body aircraft quite yet. So that's pretty much how that's going. I am growing, so there are going to be more flights out of here. I think I'm going to order some 1000s so that I can start using. I can not get rid of, but I can change the way I'm operating. One thing that I did take from him is that I can probably do the point-to-point system. I did that. One of my alliance members in Bangkok in Thailand is also leaving, so he's starting to give up some of his slots in Bangkok. So I did start flights. I did have that gave me the opportunity. I don't know if any of you guys remember from an earlier video where I talked about how I couldn't fly to Bangkok, the actual one, because of the slot problem. But he gave up a lot of his slots in the recent days. So basically, I was allowed to do that. So those are two opportunities that will be coming around here soon. The entire wave group is going to be liquidating. So that whoever we don't acquire as in Unity, if we can't acquire the airlines themselves, he's going to liquidate. So there'll be opportunity, a huge opportunity in America coming up, because he's a massive operator in America. We'll also be a huge operator. I'm going to try to take Kuwait. So if you want to compete with me in Kuwait, you're more than welcome to. I'm going to open, because Kuwait's a big city and it's my gateway to Saudi Arabia, so I need it. He also has a big stance in Cambodia, Thailand, so he's going to be liquidating those. Where else is he? Actually, let me just show you. I want to advertise this as a player in the game, so I want people to have that opportunity to start an airline if they want to. It's not going to be easy because I'm going to be trying to do some things as well. So pretty much all these airlines, all these countries are going to be open. These are just the overhead. These are not, every one of his airlines are not in this group. So you're looking at, and then Wings, I think Wings was bought out by one of our alliance members, so that will continue. But you got Uganda, America, and Wave America is huge. So we're talking, that's a holding company for all of these. So you're going to see, that's a lot of planes, that's a lot of slots that are going to be available. You're going to have Wave Arabia, that's going to be available here soon. That's his airline based in Kuwait. Like I said, I'm going to try to take Kuwait, so anybody wants to compete with me, I'm more than happy to. Wave Cambodia is his other one, and I guess he owns this one too. I don't know when he did that, but this is another one you got. So if you want to start an airline in Cambodia, Cambodia's an open market country, by the way. So I don't recommend putting your holding there. Put your holding in a closed. Put your holding in like Saudi Arabia, because Saudi Arabia is open, really open. So to put your holding in Saudi Arabia or something, and then start a subsidiary in Cambodia with the 10 million that you're given. That way, you can operate it in Saudi Arabia and Cambodia, and you have traffic rights in Saudi Arabia as well as Cambodia. That way, as if you start in Cambodia, you can't go anywhere else. So I recommend that. That's my recommendation. So that's the status on how this is going. If you want to try it, that would be your best bet. I'm not sure what Wins is doing, what is going to happen with the rest of his airlines. But there you go. Those are the opportunities that are upcoming on the Tempelhof. So if you're looking at that, give it a shot. Basically, that's all for me, though. I have A320-100s that are pretty old that I replaced with the 300s, like I said. Those will also be going to the leasing company. So if you're looking at some A320s that are relatively young, I'm going to put them up in the leasing company for you. So that'll be that. I don't have anything else. That's pretty much everything that changed recently. I haven't added many flights. The biggest thing that changed was this. Yep, I'm flying to America. I decided to start a flight to Los Angeles. Basically, it was old. The Valley used to have a flight to Los Angeles. So as you can see, this is how it's a rather complex scheduling ultra long haul flights. And then to be honest, the A350 could barely do this flight. I mean, they barely can do this. You might barely get to. Basically, this is my plane. This is what it looks like. Flying to Los Angeles, it's 76. It's only can carry 76% of its maximum load. It's a 15-hour flight. So basically, the flight cannot return on the same day that it departs if you wanted to land in a certain block. So it departs on a different time on a different day in order to land at the same time in order to connect to Australia and Dubai. Basically, like I just said, that's the reason why I did it. I have 2 flights to Dubai at 5 a.m. and they're full. They're relatively full. So this flight only just got posted. So it's not going to see a lot of load factors. I'm hoping that with the Dubai flight, it's kind of pointless doing this. This is not the market for Indonesia, but I just want to see if I can do it. I'm curious. Other than that, that covers what's changing with Airways. I don't have, in terms of my domestic carrier, I'm still waiting on my orders, so I can't do anything with that. It's gonna stay where it's at, which is hilarious. So I probably could have done better with this. Anyway, yeah, and then connection, that is a whole different beast. Talking about this airline, it operates on a completely different model than the rest. Like I said, it's my point-to-point airline. I have a lot of planes I need to schedule here. These are just bought planes that I've ordered. I'm thinking about either sending them to my leasing company or keeping them here. These planes they sit well with me because they helped me start up in Indonesia. They were my mainline thing, and I bought them and don't use them anymore. CS1s replaced them. Only thing that I did was I ordered these douaniers and I scheduled them out of UPG to a lot of the mini, what some may call the forests. These planes are going to be flying to really remote stuff. I'm talking, we're going all in here, like all out in here. So, and basically the only hub that I can do it out of logically is either Sub or Makassar. So I did it out of Makassar, and I started some out of Sub because mostly these planes I can only fly certain planes into this country, so I can't fly everything in here. There are a lot of short runways, which is why I use Makassar as much as possible. So these things are not going to post for a while. They stay posted, but they're not going to get a load for a little bit. I also added this ATR to Sub, which is going to be doing some stuff. I don't know if it's going to show. No. Yeah, you can see it down here. They posted. So I'm gonna try both hubs. We'll see which one works better. Those are, like I said, that AT5 can't operate to most of these airports in here, so it's just the way that is. And there aren't enough connection places. I added an ATR. I recently put an ATR and based it out of this play out of Pontiac. Ooh, look at that. That's a good one. So, and obviously, as you can see, I'm definitely, I scheduled it in, and it goes to Batam. So, this is the schedule for it, and so these are real. These are based on what I looked at. I caught these on Flight Radar recently, so those are what I'm going to try to do. Hopefully, we'll see good load factors there. They're not going to be any connections, so Pontiac doesn't have any connections, so that's just the way that's going to be. Overall, if you want a detailed video on what I'm doing with connection, I will make it. I have no problem doing it. I just don't focus on that one because it's really the behind the scenes that, in most cases, helps the big one work. So the big one wouldn't work sometimes without the small one. You'll see a lot of my flights will say 2 external connections. Sometimes on this airline, sometimes that's an alliance member. Sometimes if it's domestic, that most of the time is my regional carrier. I'm willing to let a new player start up in Indonesia with a regional carrier as long as you don't operate anything larger than a ERJ, CRJ, jet. And I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to help you out. I'll give you some advice. If that's what you'd like to do, we can end on the line. And then you can operate that part of my fleet. You can operate that part. I'll liquidate. I'll even give you a lot of the old 158s that I used. I'll try to purchase 190s and give those to you as well. But basically, that's something I thought about. This company is continuing to grow. I do not have the biggest thing. I will probably order the 1000, a bigger AT50 1000 to fly between some of my domestic stuff. I did do that already. That's something that does happen on already. But we'll think about it. Comment down below what you think I should do next. It's not. I'm really wanting to hear what the different players think, or what more opinions on what should happen. If you have any questions, as usual, you can leave them down below. And other than that, I'm going to call it at this point. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have an awesome day.